the dark.
A grand, three-story Victorian mansion, looming at the corner of H Street and 21st Street in Sacramento's historic Boulevard Park. Its faded gray exterior, half-moon windows, and lion statues over the porch scream old-world charm. But there's something unsettling about it. Built in 1907, this house was originally home to Dr. Aidan Hart, a respected founder of Sutter Hospital. Dr. Hart, his wife Alice, and their children lived a seemingly perfect life here, with Aidan running his medical practice from the house. But behind closed doors, things weren't so rosy. Local records suggest Aidan grew distant, spending long hours locked in his study, obsessed with his work. Neighbors whispered he was experimenting with unorthodox medical techniques, though no proof ever surfaced. By 1920, the Harts had left, and the house changed hands, eventually landing with the Amoruso family in the 1940s, who still own it today. Now here's where things get spooky. Despite its beauty, the Martinez house has a grim reputation. Locals call it the murder house tied to a chilling urban legend. The story goes that a man, sometimes said to be Dr. Hart, sometimes a fictional Martinez family head, snapped one night, killing his entire household, from his wife to his kids, even the family cat, before vanishing. Some versions claim he tortured them in the basement with medical tools, leaving their spirits trapped. But here's the twist. Historical research, including from the Sacramento Bee, debunks this. No Martinez family ever lived here, and no murders are documented. The tale seems to have sprouted in the 1970s, possibly confused with the infamous Dorothea Puente murders nearby. So why does this legend persist? Maybe it's the house's creepy vibe, or maybe something darker is at play. Let's talk hauntings, because this place is crawling with paranormal activity. Since the 1970s, residents and visitors have reported eerie encounters. The most common apparition is a woman in a yellow floral dress, gliding through the first-floor parlor, her face pale and sad. Some believe she's Alice Hart, still mourning her fractured family. Others have seen an Asian man in a white lab coat, possibly tied to Dr. Hart's medical past, standing silently in the hallway before fading away. Kids' laughter echoes in empty rooms, and a gray and white cat, long dead, darts across the lawn. But the creepiest reports come from the basement. Paranormal investigator Paul Dale Roberts, who visited in 2010, recorded electronic voice phenomena of a man saying, "Oh, yes, we are here." Visitors feel overwhelming dread down there, with some claiming to smell blood or see orbs floating in the darkness. One chilling account from a 1973 diary, shared on hauntedplaces.org, describes a girl waking up to her mattress turning red as if bleeding while an orb passed through her. So, which part of the Martinez house is the most haunted? Hands down, it's the basement. That damp, dimly lit space, once Dr. Hart's storage for medical supplies, feels like a portal to something sinister. Paranormal teams, like those from Sacramento Ghost Tours, consistently report cold spots, unexplained footsteps, and equipment malfunctions here. Some theorize the basement holds residual energy from Aidan's obsessive experiments, or worse, an entity feeding on the murder legend's fear. Whatever's down there, it doesn't want company. Why is this place haunted? The lack of verified murders suggests it's not a classic residual haunting. Instead, the house's intense energy might stem from Dr. Hart's emotional turmoil, amplified by decades of urban legends. Sacramento's gold rush history, with its floods, fires, and buried tunnels, adds a layer of restless spirits to the city, and this house seems to soak it up. Paranormal experts, like those at Haunted Rooms America, say old homes like this can become magnets for entities, especially when fueled by community fear. The Martinez house, with its imposing look and whispered tales, fits the bill perfectly. Now, for the exact location. The Martinez house sits at 2131 H Street, Sacramento, California 95816. It's in the heart of Boulevard Park, a quiet neighborhood of historic homes, just blocks from downtown. You can't go inside, its private property, and the Amoruso family isn't keen on ghost hunters. But standing on the sidewalk, you'll feel the house's heavy gaze. Neighbors, like Brian Washington quoted in the Sacramento Bee, insist it's not haunted, but others, like Andre Rekopf, complain about constant ghost tour crowds. Clearly, something about this place draws people in. So why is the Martinez house lesser known? Unlike the Delta King or Old City Cemetery, it's rarely on national paranormal lists. It pops up in local tours like Us Ghost Adventures, but its debunked murder tale keeps it niche. That's what makes it a hidden gem for thrill seekers like us. Whether it's Alice Hart's ghost, a lingering entity, or just Sacramento spooky history, this house has stories to tell. Number 2. Amargosa Opera House. a dusty, windswept corner of Inyo County, California, where Highway 190 and State Route 127 meet, just a stone's throw from Death Valley National Park. Here, at Death Valley Junction, sits the Amargosa Opera House and Hotel, a crumbling relic of the 1920s. Its exact address is Amargosa Opera House Road, Death Valley Junction, California 92328. The whitewashed adobe buildings, with their faded murals and sagging roofs, look like they've been frozen in time, surrounded by miles of barren desert. Built in 1923 by the Pacific Coast Borax Company. This place was a company town called Corkill Hall, meant to house miners working the nearby borax mines. It had a U-shaped complex with a hotel, dining hall, dorms, and a recreation hall that doubled as a theater. For a few years, miners and their families filled the place with life, watching movies and dancing under the stars. But by the 1930s, the borax boom fizzled, and the town emptied out, leaving the buildings to decay under the desert sun. Fast forward to 1967, when a New York dancer named Marta Beckett stumbled across this ghost town while fixing a flat tire. Enchanted by its desolate beauty, she rented the old recreation hall, fixed it up, and turned it into the Amargosa Opera House. Marta painted the walls with vibrant murals of Renaissance audiences, kings, queens, and jesters watching her perform. For decades, she danced here, sometimes for just a handful of tourists, until her final show in 2012. Marta passed away in 2017, but her legacy and something else lingers. Today, the hotel and theater are partially open, run by a nonprofit, drawing curious travelers and ghost hunters to this middle-of-nowhere haunt. Now, let's get to the spooky stuff. The Amargosa Opera House is crawling with paranormal activity, and it's not just the desert playing tricks. Guests and staff report shadowy figures darting through the hotel corridors, especially in the old miners' dorms. Doors slam shut in empty rooms, and objects like keys or chairs move on their own. In the dining hall, silverware clinks as if a ghostly meal is being served. But the theater is where things get truly eerie. Visitors hear applause or soft music when no one's performing, and some see a spectral dancer, a woman in a flowing dress twirling across the stage. Many believe it's Marta Beckett herself, still performing for her painted audience. Others think it's an older spirit tied to the miners' era, maybe a woman who danced here in the 1920s. Paranormal investigator Zach Baggins, during a 2014 Ghost Adventures visit, captured electronic voice phenomena saying, "I'm still here," and a shadow figure moving in the theater's wings. Guests also report a little girl's ghost, nicknamed Miss Emily, giggling in the hotel's room 24, sometimes tugging at blankets. So which part of the Amargosa is the most haunted? It's gotta be the theater itself. That stage, with its hand-painted murals and creaky wooden floor, feels alive with energy. Paranormal teams like California Haunts have recorded unexplained footsteps and whispers here, especially near the stage's trapdoor. Guests describe feeling watched by the mural's painted eyes, and some catch orbs in photos. The theater's isolation, combined with Marta's intense devotion to her art, seems to have left a psychic imprint, or maybe drawn in older spirits from the mining days. Either way, it's a paranormal hotspot that'll make your hair stand on end. Why is this place haunted? The Amargosa's history offers clues. The harsh desert life of the 1920s took a toll on miners and their families, with accidents, illness, and isolation common. Local records from the Inyo County Historical Society hint at a few deaths in the company town, including a worker crushed in a mine collapse and a woman who died of fever in the dorms. These tragedies could have left residual energy. Then there's Marta's larger-than-life presence. She poured her soul into this place, and some say her spirit can't let go. The desert itself, with its stark emptiness, might amplify the paranormal, as Native American legends, cited by Backpackerverse, describe Death Valley as a place where spirits linger. Add in decades of ghost stories, and you've got a recipe for a haunted landmark. The Amargosa Opera House stays lesser known because of its remote location, 2 hours from Las Vegas, 90 minutes from Pahrump, and surrounded by nothing but sand. It's not on every ghost hunter's radar, unlike San Francisco's Alcatraz or LA's Queen Mary. But those who visit, like posters on Reddit's Are Paranormal, rave about its creepy vibe, calling it a must-see for true thrill seekers. It's a place where history, art, and the supernatural collide, making it a hidden gem for our Blink News audience. Number 3. Las Coches Adobe, Soledad. A lonely stretch of Monterey County, where River Road cuts through the quiet town of Soledad, California 93960. Right off Highway 101, at the end of Las Coches Road, stands the Las Coches Adobe, a decaying two-story structure of mud and straw, its walls cracked by time and weather. Built in 1843, this was a bustling stagecoach stop during California's Gold Rush era, a place where weary travelers rested on their way to the Salinas Valley. Owned by the Sobrains family, it offered food, shelter, and and a lively tavern for miners, merchants, and families chasing dreams of gold. But not everyone who stopped here left. Historical records from the Monterey County Historical Society hinted dark tales. Travelers disappearing without a trace, some rumored to have been robbed or worse in the lawless frontier days. By the 1870s, the stagecoach era faded, and the adobe was abandoned, left to rot under the California sun. Now, let's dive into the spooky stuff. Los Coches Adobe is alive with paranormal activity that even Soledad's locals can't ignore. Picture this. You're standing outside the crumbling walls at dusk, and suddenly, you hear laughter, clinking glasses, and music drifting from inside an impossible party in a place empty for over a century. That's what residents report, including Soledad's former mayor Fred Ledesma, quoted in a 2018 KSBW news story, saying he heard a ghostly fiesta while driving by at night. Apparitions of travelers in old-timey clothes, men in dusty coats, women in long dresses have been seen wandering the grounds, only to vanish into thin air. Some locals, like those on Reddit's Are Paranormal, claim to see a spectral stagecoach parked outside, its horses snorting before it fades away. Others report a woman in white, possibly a traveler's wife, crying near the Adobe's well, where some say a body was dumped long ago. But the creepiest spot, it's the Adobe's old tavern room on the ground floor. This dimly lit space, with its sagging beams and dirt floor, is where paranormal investigators like California Haunts have captured the most activity. Electronic voice phenomena recorded here include a man's voice saying, "Stay a while," and a woman whispering, "Help me." Visitors feel cold spots, sudden nausea, or an oppressive weight, like something doesn't want them there. In 2015, a local ghost tour group reported a lantern swinging on its own in the tavern despite no wind. Some believe the room traps the spirits of travelers who met violent ends, their reveille frozen in time. Why is Los Coches Adobe haunted? Its history holds the clues. The gold rush was a wild, dangerous time, and stagecoach stops like this were magnets for bandits and drifters. The Monterey County Historical Society notes reports of missing travelers in the 1850s. Though exact details are murky, some say robbery victims were buried in unmarked graves nearby. The Adobe's isolation, miles from any town, made it a perfect spot for dark deeds. Add to that the emotional weight of desperate travelers passing through, and you've got a recipe for residual hauntings. Paranormal experts, cited by Thrillist, suggest the Adobe's thick walls hold onto that energy, replaying the echoes of its past. The woman in white might be tied to a specific tragedy like a murder or betrayal, though no single story is confirmed. Why does this place fly under the radar? Los Coches Adobe is overshadowed by Monterey's bigger haunts like the Stokes Adobe or Mission San Juan Bautista. It's rarely featured outside local news or niche blogs, and its private ownership limits access, keeping it off mainstream paranormal lists. But that's what makes it a treasure for thrill seekers like us, a true hidden haunt with stories betting to be told. So that's the chilling tale of Los Coches Adobe, where the party never ends, even for the dead. Have you ever heard ghostly laughter in an empty place? Or know a spooky spot in Monterey County? Drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Blink News chills. Number 4. Black Star Canyon. A winding dirt path cutting through the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County, California, just 15 miles east of Irvine. Black Star Canyon lies off Black Star Canyon Road, accessible via Santiago Canyon Road, with the trailhead at 13333 Black Star Canyon Road, Silverado, California 92676. Towering oak trees, red rock cliffs, and sagebrush surround you. But the eerie silence feels like it's watching. This canyon, part of the Irvine Ranch Natural Landmarks and Cleveland National Forest, was once home to the Tongva Gabrielino people, who called it Cañada de los Indios. In 1831, it became the site of a brutal event. According to a story told by settler J.E. Pleasance, American fur trappers led by William Wolfskill tracked Tongva villagers here, accusing them of stealing horses. What followed was a massacre in a valley now called Hidden Ranch, where dozens were killed in a rifle versus bow and arrow clash. Recent research, like a 2013 OC Weekly investigation, questions the tale's details, noting no archaeological evidence and debunking claims of horse-eating villagers. Still, the story's grip fuels the canyon's haunted lore. Fast forward to 1899, and Hidden Ranch saw another tragedy. James Gregg, a local rancher, argued with brothers Thomas and Henry Hungerford over a horse steal gone sour. The dispute ended with the Hungerfords shooting Gregg dead with shotguns, as reported in digital newspaper archives cited by Naturalist4U. The brothers turned themselves in, but locals say Gregg's restless spirit still roams. Then, in the 1970s, a school bus reportedly crashed into the canyon, killing children and leaving the wreckage until 2012. While the bus is gone, hikers claim to see ghostly figures near the crash site. These layered tragedies, massacre, murder, and accident make Black Star Canyon a paranormal magnet. Now let's talk hauntings, because this place is packed with creepy encounters. Hikers report black penguin-like apparitions strange. Waddling shapes dubbed Black Star waddlers darting across trails, as noted by Hiking Guy. Ghostly conquistadors in Spanish armor have been spotted, possibly tied to the canyon's Mexican rancho days, according to Haunted Orange County. Then there's Black Star Sam, a cryptid some call a Bigfoot-like figure, others a demonic entity lurking in the shadows. Paranormal investigator Joel Robinson, in a 2017 Los Angeles Times article, shared tales of screams, tribal drums, and chanting heard after dark. Ghost hunters, like those on Reddit's Are Paranormal, capture electronic voice phenomena, saying things like "leave now" near the old Black Star coal mine, which operated in the 1870s. Visitors also report La Llorona, a wailing woman in white searching for her drowned children, a Mexican legend tied to the canyon's creek. The creepiest reports come from feeling watched, with sudden wind howls and temperature drops adding to the dread. Which spot in Black Star Canyon is the most haunted? It's Hidden Ranch, deep in the canyon, near where the 1830-1 massacre and 1899 murder went down. This grassy valley, reachable after a 3-mile hike, feels heavy with energy. Paranormal teams like Haunted OC report orbs, apparitions of Tongva villagers, and James Gregg's ghost here. Electronic voice phenomena are strongest near the ranch's ruins, and hikers describe an oppressive vibe, like something's warning them to leave. The area's violent past, from bloodshed to betrayal, seems to have left a psychic scar that draws spirits and spooks alike. Why is this place haunted? The canyon's bloody history is a big factor. The 1830-1 massacre, even if exaggerated, left a mark, with Tongva spirits possibly lingering from the trauma. James Gregg's unresolved murder adds a vengeful ghost to the mix. And the bus crash, though poorly documented, fuels tales of lost children. The Black Star coal mine, where miners toiled in harsh conditions, might hold their restless spirits as per a haunted place. The canyon's wilderness, once home to grizzly bears and now eerily quiet, amplifies its spooky vibe. Native American beliefs, cited by Backpackerverse, suggest sacred lands like this can trap energies, and the mix of Tongva, Spanish and American history creates a paranormal perfect storm. Black Star Canyon stays lesser known because its remote, rugged setting keeps it off national paranormal lists. Unlike LA's Queen Mary, it's a local legend, popular with Orange County hikers and ghost hunters. But its wilderness full of snakes, tarantulas, and mountain lions deters casual visitors. Still, its draw is undeniable, with guided tours by naturalists for you packing in thrill seekers every Halloween. Number 5. Katie Wheeler Library, a charming, 2-story mansion nestled in Irvine Ranch Historic Park at 13109 Old Myford Road, Irvine, California 92602. With its white clapboard walls, dark wood trim, and a grand staircase, the Katie Wheeler Library looks like it stepped out of a history book. But it's no ordinary building. The original structure was built in 1876 as a ranch house for the Irvine family, who owned the sprawling 110,000-acre Irvine Ranch. James Irvine II took over, doubling its size. And after the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, he moved his family here full-time. The house saw joy like the birth of Catherine Anita Irvine, nicknamed Katie, in 1920, but also tragedy. Katie's mother, Catherine Helena Irvine, died 4 days later from pneumonia after childbirth. In 1965, the mansion burned down, and the current library, an exact replica, opened in 2008, named after Katie Wheeler, a philanthropist who died in 2003. Today, it's a bustling library, but its past refuses to stay quiet. Now let's get to the spooky stuff. The Katie Wheeler Library is alive with paranormal activity that catches even skeptics off guard. Visitors report seeing a woman in a blue dress, believed to be Catherine Helena Irvine, gliding through the bookshelves on the main floor. She's often spotted near the history section, her face sad, as if searching for her lost daughter. Then there's a tall man in a suit, thought to be James Irvine II, wandering the second-floor children's area. Librarians, like one quoted in a 2017 Medium article, describe hearing footsteps in the basement, thinking a coworker named Dave was there. only to find it empty, followed by tap 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 sounds trailing behind them. Books fall off shelves without explanation, especially in the biography aisle, and sourceless singing, like a woman's hum, echoes after closing hours. Paranormal investigators, cited by SoCal Landmarks, have captured orbs and photos and electronic voice phenomena saying, "Stay here, near the grand staircase." Recent reports, including a 2023 Reddit R. Irvine post, mention patrons feeling watched or smelling lavender perfume in empty rooms. So, which part of the library is the most haunted? It's the basement, hands down. This dimly lit space, now a used bookstore run by the Friends of the Katie Wheeler Library, feels heavy with energy. Staff report cold spots, flickering lights, and objects like pens moving on desks. A 2012 blog by Don J. Ortega on ranchoortega.com recounts a volunteer seeing a blue-dressed figure vanish into the basement wall. Paranormal teams like GeoHaunts note the strongest activity here, possibly tied to Myford Irvine's 1959 death in the original basement, ruled a suicide despite suspicious gunshot wounds. The basement's role as the family's private office space might hold residual grief from Catherine's death or Myford's tragedy, making it a paranormal hotspot. Why is this place haunted? The Irvine family's emotional history is key. Catherine Helena's death at 26, leaving newborn Katie behind, left a deep scar. James Irvine II, devastated by his daughter's loss, raised Katie here, and his protective presence might linger. Myford's mysterious death adds another layer of unrest. The ranch's vast history, from Tongva land to a hub of cattle and citrus, carries centuries of energy, as noted by Backpackerverse. Libraries, with their quiet focus, often amplify paranormal activity, and this replica, built on the exact site of tragedy, seems to trap those echoes. The fan palm trees outside, over 110 years old, stand as silent witnesses to the family's joys and sorrows, adding to the eerie vibe. The Katie Wheeler Library stays lesser known because it's a working library, not a creepy castle. It's ranked number 10 among Orange County's haunted spots by Medium, but overshadowed by places like Black Star Canyon. Its community role hosting story times, book clubs, and cultural events keeps it off mainstream paranormal lists. But locals, like those signing a 2024 Change.org petition to save it from closing, call it a historic treasure with a spooky edge. The petition, with over 5,000 signatures, mentions its closure set for July 1st. 2025, though. A January 2025 Irvine City Council lease ensures it stays open until at least 2029. Number 6. Yorba Cemetery, Yorba Linda. A small 40,000 square foot plot nestled in Woodgate Park, at the corner of Parkwood Court and Woodgate Drive, Yorba Linda, California 92886. Surrounded by suburban homes, Yorba Cemetery feels out of place. Its weathered headstones and dead vines whispering of a bygone era. Established in 1858 by Bernardo Yorba, a wealthy rancher who owned the 13,000-acre Rancho Cañón de Santa Ana, this cemetery was deeded to the Catholic Church as a burial ground for his family and friends. From 1860 to 1939, it became the final resting place for over 435 souls, including prominent Californio families like the Yorba, de los Reyes, Peralta, and Dominguez clans. Gravestones, many knocked over by vandals, bear names from the Spanish Rancho days, making it one of California's oldest private cemeteries. Now managed by Orange County Parks, it's open to the public only on the first Saturday of each month from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., except in May, keeping its secrets locked behind iron gates. Now, let's get to the haunting that draws thrill-seekers here, the Pink Lady. Every other June 15th, on even-numbered years, between midnight and 3 a.m., a ghostly woman in a pink dress is said to appear, floating across the cemetery. Local legend claims she's Alvina de los Reyes, a 31-year-old mother who died in 1910. The most popular story says Alvina was thrown from a carriage after a dance, killed in a tragic accident while wearing a pink gown, hence her nickname. Some versions, like one on California Haunted Houses, claim she and her boyfriend were hit by a train on prom night. Others, from Seek's Ghosts, suggest her lover pushed her onto railroad tracks. But here's the truth. Historical records, including a 1990 Yorba Linda Star article, confirm Alvina died of pneumonia on December 2nd, 1910, 7 days after giving birth to her daughter, baby Alvina, who died 28 days later. Both are likely buried together under a simple granite marker with a flower-etched cross. No carriage accident, no prom, no train, just a sad, quiet death. So where did the Pink Lady legend come from? A 2018 Fullerton Observer piece points to a 1960s Yorba Linda librarian who spun the tale for Halloween storytime, blending La Llorona myths with local gossip. By the 1970s, it was old folklore, and teens began daring each other to visit the cemetery on June 15th. In 1986, a photographer named Greg Millett snapped a photo from atop a motorhome, capturing a light orange blob near the cemetery fence, fueling the legend, as reported by the Yorba Linda Star. Witnesses, like those cited on Seek's Ghosts, describe the Pink Lady emerging from an oleander bush, gliding to the cemetery's rear, perhaps visiting family graves. Even when she doesn't appear, paranormal investigators report cold spots, whispers in Spanish like "por favor espera que voy," meaning "please wait, I am coming," and equipment failures. A 1998 Yorba Linda Star interview with Alvina's grandnephew, Arthur Peralta, mentions a different girl in a pink dress dying in a carriage accident, keeping the mystery alive. The creepiest spot in Yorba Cemetery. It's Alvina de los Reyes' grave, near the center, surrounded by a wooden fence. Paranormal teams, like those from Haunted Orange County, report the strongest activity here, freezing cold spots, soft sobs, and orbs in photos. Especially on June 15th, visitors feel watched. And some, like a 2023 Reddit r paranormal post, describe hearing a woman's voice whispering names near the grave. The area's energy feels heavy, as if Alvina or another spirit can't let go. The oleander bush nearby, where the Pink Lady supposedly appears, adds to the eerie vibe, with rustling sounds reported even on windless nights. Why is Yorba Cemetery haunted? The Pink Lady legend, though debunked, might mask a real spirit. Alvina's tragic death in childbirth, alongside her babies, could have left a residual imprint, amplified by the cemetery's history of over 120 to 600 burials, many from the rough rancho era. The Tongvaland's sacred roots, noted by backpacker verse, may hold restless energies from early settlers' hardships. Vandalism, like gravestones toppled since the 1960s, might stir unrest, as spirits, per local lore, dislike disturbance. The cemetery's isolation in a modern neighborhood, as described by Orange County insiders, creates a time warp effect, trapping echoes of the past. Yorba Cemetery stays lesser known, because it's overshadowed by flashier Orange County haunts like Black Star Canyon. Its limited hours and suburban setting keep it off national paranormal lists. But locals, like tour guide Melanie Goss in the Fullerton Observer, know its pull. Crowds still gather every other June 15th, hoping to spot the Pink Lady, though Orange County Parks now closes the gates at night to curb trespassing and trash. Number 7. Chilnualna Falls Trail. A rugged trail winding through Yosemite's southern reaches, starting at Chilnualna Falls Road, Wawona, California 95389. From the trailhead at 8154 North Chilnualna Falls Road, you're surrounded by towering pines, granite cliffs, and the rush of Chilnualna Creek. This 8.4-mile round-trip hike climbs over 2,000 feet to a series of 5 waterfalls, totaling 690 feet, with views of Wawona Dome and cascading waters. The trail, used since the 1870s when the Wawona Hotel was built, was once a path for the Ahwahnee-Chee people who lived here for centuries before white settlers arrived. Their presence left a deep mark, but so did tragedy. Historical records from the Mariposa County Historical Society note accidents on the trail, including falls from slippery granite and drownings in the creek's pools, especially during peak flows in the 1890s. The area's sacred history and violent past set the stage for something sinister. Now let's dive into the hauntings, because Chilnualna Falls Trail is alive with paranormal terror. Hikers report hearing whispers in an unknown language, possibly a Ahwahnee-Chee, carried on the wind even when alone. These voices, described in a 2024 Joe Daily article, sound angry, like warnings to leave. Apparitions appear, too, shadowy figures with aggressive stances seen near the upper falls, lunging at hikers before vanishing. The most terrifying tales involve a malevolent entity near the third tier, a 300-foot cascade. Paranormal investigators, like those from California haunts, say this unseen force has pushed hikers toward the edge, with some narrowly escaping falls into the churning waters below. Then there's Grouse Lake, a 4-mile detour off the trail, where the ghost of a Native American boy, Drowned long ago, whales in distress. Galen Clark, Yosemite's first ranger, documented this in 1857. Hearing a high-pitched howl he thought was an injured animal, only to be told by Awanichi hunters it was a spirit, as noted on Shaka Guide. Hikers today, per a 2025 Reddit Yosemite post, still hear the boys' cries, especially at dusk, and report feeling watched by unseen eyes. The most haunted spot? It's the third tier of Chilnualna Falls, where the trail narrows and the granite cliffs loom. This is where the malevolent entity strikes, with reports of sudden shoves, icy gusts, and electronic voice phenomena saying, "Get out," captured by Geo Haunts in 2022. Hikers, like one quoted on Hiking Guy, describe an overwhelming dread here, with equipment failing and compasses spinning wildly. The area's steep drop and history of accidents amplify its eerie vibe, as if the spirits of those who fell are trapped, lashing out at intruders. Why is this trail haunted? The Awanichi's deep connection to the land, documented by the National Park Service, suggests their spirits linger, angered by displacement during the 1850s Mariposa Indian War. Chief Tenaya's curse on nearby Tenaya Canyon, cited by Nation's Vacation, might extend here, with his vow to haunt forever. Accidents, like a hiker's fatal fall in the 1990s, per NPS report, add layers of tragedy. The P-O-Ho-No, an evil spirit in Awanichi lore, is blamed for luring people to death at Yosemite's waterfalls, as noted on the lineup. This trail's isolation, sacred history, and violent past create a paranormal hotspot where spirits refuse to rest. Chilnualna Falls stays lesser known because Yosemite's beauty at sequoias, cliffs, and waterfalls overshadows its dark tales. Unlike Yosemite Valley's crowded mist trail, this hike sees fewer visitors, as TripAdvisor reviews call it a quiet gem. Its paranormal stories, while shared on niche sites like joedaily.net, rarely hit mainstream lists, making it a hidden haunt for thrill seekers. Number 8. Fort Humboldt. A grassy bluff on the south side of Eureka, California at 3431 Fort Avenue, Eureka, California 95503, right off Highway 101. The fort's weathered wooden barracks, restored hospital, and crumbling foundations sit quietly, with Humboldt Bay sparkling below and the Bayshore Mall in the distance. Established on January 30th, 1853, by Captain Robert C. Buchanan of the 4th Infantry, Fort Humboldt was built to protect settlers from Native American tribes, like the Wyatt, Yurok, and Hoopa during the Gold Rush. It served as headquarters for the Humboldt Military District, a 20,000 square mile region, and housed 26 frame buildings around a 300-foot parade ground. But its history is grim. The fort played a key role in displacing tribes, most notably during the 1860 Tuluá Island massacre, where Eureka businessmen killed up to 250 Wyatt, mostly women, children, and elders, as reported by Wikipedia. The survivors sought refuge at the fort, but half died from starvation or exposure due to poor conditions. By 1866, most troops were withdrawn, and the fort was abandoned by 1867, per the Military Museum. Today, it's a state historic park, open daily, with a museum showcasing its past. Now, let's dive into the hauntings, because Fort Humboldt is crawling with restless spirits. The most chilling sighting is a ghostly commander, believed to be Captain William B. Hazen, who died of malaria in 1897, staring out from the hospital building's windows. Visitors, like those quoted on California Haunted Houses, describe his pale face, watching them only to vanish when approached. Heavy footsteps echo in the abandoned hospital, even when it's empty, and paranormal investigators, per a 2024 Joe Daily article, have captured electronic voice phenomena saying, "Stay away," near the hospital's entrance. Other reports include shadowy soldiers marching across the parade ground at dusk, and Native American apparitions, possibly Wyatt victims, weeping near the fort's edge. A 2018 Times Standard piece mentions visitors hearing screams from the stockade, where Colonel Francis Lippett once held 300 Native Americans in 1862. Some feel sudden chills or smell medicinal odors, like old hospital antiseptics, inside the restored hospital. The most haunted spot. It's the hospital building, hands down. This small, whitewashed structure, now a museum, is where the heaviest paranormal activity happens. Paranormal teams, like Geo Haunts, report cold spots, flickering lights, and objects like pens sliding off tables. A 2023 Reddit r paranormal post describes a visitor seeing a soldier in an 1850s uniform standing in the hospital doorway, only to disappear. The building's history of illness, malaria, dysentery, and smallpox swept through soldiers and native prisoners seems to trap their pain, creating a hotbed of ghostly energy. Why is Fort Humboldt haunted? Its tragic past is the key. The fort's role in the Wyatt massacre and forced relocations left a deep scar, with survivors' suffering etched into the land, as noted by backpackers. The hospital saw countless deaths, including Hazen's, and its use as a prison for Native Americans added layers of despair. The Humboldt District's rugged isolation, described in an 1854 report by Colonel Joseph Mansfield, bred tension with soldiers, like a young Ulysses S. Grant, who served here in 1854, drowning their boredom in nearby taverns per roadside America. Native American beliefs, cited by the Redwood Riverwalk, suggest sacred lands like this hold restless spirits, especially when disturbed by violence. The fort's foggy, windswept bluff only amplifies its eerie vibe. Fort Humboldt stays lesser known because its remote Eureka location and focus on historical preservation keep it off mainstream paranormal lists. Unlike San Francisco's Alcatraz, it's a quiet park, drawing mostly locals and history buffs. But its hauntings, shared on sites like Seek's Ghosts, make it a must-visit for thrill seekers. The fort's tragic role in native displacement and its hospital's grim past ensure its spirits won't rest easy. Have you ever felt a ghostly stare or heard footsteps in an empty place? Share your stories in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Blink News chills.